in my own healing journey, I did all of the scientific medical things. I changed my food. I did all the supplements. And until I resolved that really unhealed trauma that was imprinted on a cellular level, I wasn't able to get to the next step in healing.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Trinity podcast, where we interview top holistic experts and bring you natural solutions for modern day wellness. Let's get started with your host, Dr. Jacqueline.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining the Wellness Trinity podcast. I'm Dr. Jacqueline from thewellnesstrinity.com, where we provide natural solutions for modern day wellness. Today, we're going to discuss being holistically fit with holistic health expert Brianna Marie, and she is found at holisticallyfitbabe.com/waitlist. What we discuss in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you do with the information is to be used at your discretion, as the recommendations are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This episode was brought to you by CellCore Biosciences. Creating supplements that work is what they do, and restoring hope and health is who they are. This protocol was an absolute game changer for myself and my clients too, and now I get to train practitioners to use it in their practice and ebb and flow with it accordingly. So if you want to learn more about the protocol, please visit cellcorebiosciences.com. If you are a practitioner, you can sign up for a wholesale account, and the general public, please visit thewellnesstrinity.com/CellCore Detox, and I can show you the ropes of how we can ebb and flow with this for yourself and your family. So I met Brianna Marie on Facebook, and I was seeing her posts pop up a lot and was very intrigued by her journey and her story. And I thought one day I should just reach out to her. She's in my lane. And so it's always good to know people that are running in our lane and are really out there trying to help people get healthy and get to the root of their health issues. So she's a holistic health expert, and she helps chronically ill women heal by reversing the damage, keeping them sick, overweight, and exhausted. She is the creator of the Holistically Fit Protocol. Brianna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really glad to be here today.
So why don't you go ahead and expand on your story? I know you had an incredible healing journey and went through so much, and this is why you're doing what you're doing today.
Yeah. So, it all started, I think, now that I know everything that I know, it started in childhood, but fast forward a little bit, I started having a lot of symptoms when I was in my early 20s. And I went to dozens of doctors, and all they did was just kind of sprinkle me with little pharmaceutical remedies here and there. And my father is actually a conventional MD. So I was really just taught and trained to listen to whatever my doctor told me to do, whatever medication, just take it. It'll make you better. So that's what I continued to do. But progressively, I got worse over that next decade. And it got so bad to the point where, I was so symptomatic. I had hundreds of symptoms. I couldn't walk. And it was really painful emotionally, physically, just every aspect of my life was affected. And it wasn't until that final breaking point, my really just bottom of the barrel, where I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care what it is. I don't care how hard it is. And I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to heal it. I know that there's a way, and it's not conventionally. So I met a holistic nutritionist, and she was able to help me a little bit, just change things here and there. I was always an athlete. I always ate healthy. I always worked out. I always did all the things that, you think are healthy. But if I wasn't doing what was genetically matched to myself, then it didn't matter. So I made these little changes here and there, and then I dove deep into school and knowledge, and that's kind of how Holistically Fit came about. I was patient 0, and I was like, holy cow, if I can heal 18 years of chronic illness, like every single thing that you could ever imagine symptom-wise, if I can reverse that in less than a year, I've got to share this gift with as many other people who listen as I can. So that's why I started what I'm doing now.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I know when people go through a situation like that, it's very lonely and frustrating. Can you expand on some of the emotions you were feeling during that time?
Yeah, I had gone up and down with my emotions the entire time, and that's just part of, so the autoimmune diseases that I have Hashimoto's disease, I had rheumatoid arthritis, and just to clarify, although I'm in remission, you're still always going to have these diseases. So if I were to go backwards and live the life that I, had before, I would probably have all these symptoms again. But anyway, so Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, Lyme disease, I have interstitial cystitis. There's just so many things, and then they kind of all snowball. Severe asthma. But all of that I didn't realize was really impacting my mental health in such a way where I became suicidal at one point. Nothing was working. I had tried everything. I listened to all the doctors. I tried all the different medications. The medications have their own side effects that affect you mentally. And I just didn't know. I wasn't aware. I was very naive. And like I said, believed whatever the doctors told me. And they're only doing what their training, is, right. They have a lack of, just a lack of alternative treatment options for their patients. So I don't blame the doctors, and I definitely don't have any resentment for that. I had to let that part go because, you go to so many doctors and you're like, okay, so I've seen dozens of doctors. Why can't one of them help me? But luckily I had the support of my family and friends around me, and I was able to pull through that. But yeah, there were some dark days for sure.
Yeah. And you had mentioned off air about how when you healed yourself of some of the gut bugs, I mean, it totally helped that as well too, right?
For sure. I mean, we don't realize that primarily we're made up of bacteria, and, they control a lot of what we think we're controlling. They control our cravings, how we sleep, how we act, our moods, how we interact with each other. So you definitely want to have a good balance there. And most of us are walking around with an imbalance of good versus bad bacteria. So once you kind of regulate that, everything is just so much better.
Yeah. Well, and we need those good probiotics to build our neurotransmitters, which can make us happy or sad if we don't have more, enough or or deficiency of them.
100%.
Yeah. So what is holistic medicine? What is your definition? And, for those people that think it's hocus pocus.
Yeah. A lot of people think like, oh God, she's like some kind of herbal, hippie that goes around sprinkling her herbs on stuff. So, it's not that I don't believe in conventional medicine. I definitely do. There's an application for everything. What my whole premise is, a holistic approach is everything together. So your mind, your body, your soul, and alternative integration. I like to work, like the patients that I have, I like to work with their other practitioners and do a complementary, just a focused approach so that they have many different avenues, because one practitioner is not going to be able to know everything. And to pretend that, we're all knowing is just, it's silly. I often, speak to different colleagues about different cases and get better advice. And, kind of, we do the same thing. We play off of each other and see how we can help one another. But a holistic approach is just that, everything encompassing together. Everything goes together. You can't treat one part of your body without looking at what's going on deeper.
Totally.
Root of that, so it's really root cause medicine, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would agree with that too, with the whole mind, body, spirit approach, and then also looking for the root and not isolating organs and things like that certain types of professions like to do.
Exactly.
Even the holistic field, it seems like, with running a business, we tend to have to market ourselves as some type of expert. Right. And it can be kind of weird when you're like, well, I'm the digestion expert, or I'm the liver expert. And it's like, come on, guys, we're here trying to fix the whole body.
All together. That's why I try really hard, and I focus on specifically autoimmunity and chronic illness, because it's all encompassing. It really starts from within, and it's everything together.
Yeah. I do find that certain practitioners, that even if they do brand themselves that for business purposes, I mean, a lot of them are still kind of looking at the whole picture. It's just that they have a really strong passion for one area, but
right.
It is really hard. It's hard to heal your brain if your gut's messed up or your liver or something. So
completely. Yeah. And I know a lot of practitioners, that do focus on one thing or the other. And like I said, that's why I think complementary working together is so crucial.
Yeah. So where do you think the gap is between conventional, functional, and holistic medicine?
I think, a lot of people are just not aware of what the holistic approach is. I think that a lot of people are a little bit, unfortunately, closed-minded, and they have their one set belief, and that is what it is. And you can see that very apparently with the whole COVID situation that's going on right now. Either you're on one side or you're the other, and there's nothing in between. It's black or white. So there's a lot of practitioners. I go to a lot of medical conventions and meet a lot of different people from all walks of life. And a lot of people are very stuck in their training that they've had, and are not willing or wanting to open their minds to different possibilities. So I think that's where we need to bridge that gap. And a lot of us just need to realize, like I said before, that one practitioner cannot be all knowing. It's impossible. We're human. And while we want the best for our patients and we do the best that we can, you have to really just, continuously be learning and growing and know that you're doing that and want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's always good to know other practitioners, one, either that are doing something similar to you, because then you can grow in that area, but two, something that's also complementary to that too. So for example, like me and you do functional medicine, but we might want to be partnered or good friends, colleagues with someone that does something structural, like a chiropractor, or someone that might do energy medicine. Because there's different areas of the person that might need to be fixed in a different way, that it's not really our expertise. Like we might look at things chemically, but not structurally.
Right. Yeah. And that's a lot of what I do in my program. We do like a lifestyle reset in the beginning, and I definitely work with different practitioners, chiropractors, energy healers. There's so many modalities that I think are underutilized, and, the conventional medicine doesn't even look at, they refuse. So I think a lot of that is really, really important. For me personally, I know that in my own healing journey, I did all of the scientific medical things. I changed my food. I did all the supplements. And until I resolved that really unhealed trauma that was imprinted on a cellular level, I wasn't able to get to the next step in healing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
all of it's really important.
It's so huge. And I used to do live and dry blood analysis when I was in Vegas, and you could see it in the dry blood. You could see the signs. Like I would see a lot of heart issues at certain times in people's life, because in the dry blood you could see you can go by an area of time in their life when something happened. And so I would ask them, hey, 5 years ago, did something traumatic happen? Because they would have tons of heart issues in that area. And I'm telling you, more often than not, there was always something that they could relate to. They're like, oh, that's when I got divorced, or I had to move, or something happened. So it's huge. It really does get imprinted on a cellular level. So can you talk about how you overcome some of your challenges with trauma?
So, so what I like to do is I like to try everything and see what works for me. And I tell all of my ladies, because I primarily work with women, it's not one thing, it's all of the things together that actually make you just grow and heal, and it empowers you to really get that self-healing going on. Because I'm not, you and I are not the ones that are healing them. We're giving them the empowerment and the knowledge to really do it themselves. So for me personally, it took a combination of energy work, really just getting over all of the trauma that I had in my childhood. I had a lot of childhood trauma. I went through abuse. I ran away from home. So many different things that I thought that I had dealt with through traditional talk therapy, but I really didn't get anywhere because, like I said, it was imprinted on a cellular level. So I did theta healing, which was extremely extremely helpful for me. A lot of Reiki, and then all the other different kind of energy work. Reiki is kind of very broad and general, but I have a couple healers here that I work with in Las Vegas who do like combination therapies. So it's just, access bars and crystals and all the things that people think, oh God, this is holistic, hippie.
This is woo woo.
This is woo woo stuff. But, for me personally, my mindset was, look, because I was skeptical at first too. I'm like, look, if it just does nothing else but puts me into a relaxed parasympathetic state, then it's working. It's doing its job, because I was stuck in fight or flight for my entire life since birth until, way into my 30s. And if that's all that it does, then it's great, because it's working.
Yeah.
So, it was beneficial either way, and it was tremendously helpful for me.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, I'm here sitting by all these crystals and stuff too. I love crystals.
I've got my guys over here too.
Oh, nice. What is that one?
EMF blockers.
Oh, I need to get some of the EMF blockers. I have these like rose quartz and
I love those.
Amethyst. This is amethyst.
But I've got these all of these all over my computer and my electronic stuff.
I have some hematite here too, though. I don't know if that does too much, but I need some bigger ones like that. Though you'll have to.
Yeah.
Well, actually, since we're on this topic, why don't we talk about where did you get those?
So I actually, there's a really awesome place here in Las Vegas. I live in Summerlin. If you guys have been to Vegas, Summerlin is kind of near Red Rock. I know that you used to live here, so you know where that is. So downtown Summerlin has a really beautiful store. I can't remember I think it's, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the only crystal store in downtown Summerlin. Unfortunately, they've been hit really hard, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to open back up, because they source from all over the world ethically, and they really, really pick their crystals, very specifically. They go off of energy. I also use a website called Exquisite Crystals, and I like their energy. I've tried a couple other sites that I'm not too thrilled with, so I won't even mention them, but those are the ones that I really have great energy with. And you kind of feel it, as weird as it sounds to the people that are not familiar with energy work. You will get a vibe. Like if you get a vibe from a person, you'll get a vibe from crystals too. You'll be able to tell right for you or not.
Yeah. I think the more that someone heals, we're all sensitive to these things. We just don't necessarily realize it. And when we peel these layers off of toxins and infections and even energetic type of stuff and auras type of stuff, then you really start to notice. I mean, I'll be with people now and I'm just like, oh, I can't be around this person.
Yeah, exactly.
You instantly are just, your radar goes on, because like,
I mean, I've always been a little bit more intuitive than most, but definitely once you heal, it's so much stronger. So you have to protect that as well. So it's another thing that I work on with my ladies, that I always tell them to have this little protective bubble around them, because it is all about protecting your energy, especially with all the stuff that's going on right now, and how it is affecting everybody emotionally. So I always try to help them understand that whatever someone else's reactions are has nothing to do with you. It's whatever's going on with them. So you kind of have to have that bubble so that it can just bounce right off of you.
Yeah, totally. That's a great way to put it, because when we start to absorb all those negative energies from people, I mean, it can really just lower our immune system. Our body does not happy with that.
Exactly. Once you lower your vibration like that, your immune system lowers. We're more prone to illness, to, chronic infections, chronic symptoms. So no, bounce it off.
Yeah. So, I was with you too. And the fact that I was like, is this woo woo stuff, and as a Christian, and at some point I was just really like, hardcore. My husband, when I first met him, he's like, I don't know, I really like this girl, but I don't know about her, because she's a little too much. And so we were good for each other. He kind of refined some of the edges that didn't really belong. But yeah, I mean, I read the Bible and I'm like, there's crystals in the Bible. It's actually there. And a lot of times, even as Christians, we think that they're just like, we talk about stones right now and the energetic properties of it, and it's like, ooh, but it really is just science, and it's in the earth. you go in the forest, you could probably find them.
That's how I explain it too. I've actually never been very religious. My family upbringing, well, just my parents, my father was atheist, so we weren't allowed to be baptized and we weren't allowed to really get into religion. The rest of my family was very religious, but it wasn't, and that's another aspect I think that's really important to healing. I have become spiritually awakened during this process, and had that not happened, all the pieces in the puzzle would not fit together. So that's a big aspect of it. But yes, the way that I explain crystals, everything has energy. Every single thing in this earth has energy. And it is something that whatever you believe, creator, the universe has put here for us. So, you know, it's energetically charged, and it's up to you to control that energy around you.
Yeah. And you know what, one thing that I was told, when you go into a crystal shop or someone that sells crystals and you're around them, you're going to be naturally drawn to the one that you need. And you might even feel, you might even feel it. Like this particular one, this amethyst, like when I first started carrying this around, I could literally feel the vibrations coming out of this.
That's awesome.
And so I don't even know if this is something like legit to do, but I just was drawn to do it. And so I would literally put it like right here on my, you know, my pineal gland is, and I could feel like it was doing something. So I'm not the crystal expert by no means, but I definitely
I'm not either, but I totally agree with you. There's what is it called? The white ones that are, they never have to be cleansed. Selenite. Yes. Yeah. So I meditate with them. I have 2 selenite towers, and I'll meditate with them, and I'll put them on my stomach or wherever I feel like I need a little, like a balancing, and you can feel the energy. Energetically is charged. So
yeah. Selenite's another one I feel too. And honestly, even just what I did right now with going like this, I could feel it. Like I'm not even joking.
That's awesome. What's really funny is that before I got pregnant, because I'm pregnant now for everybody that doesn't know, before I was pregnant, I went into the crystal shop that I was talking about at downtown Summerlin, and I was drawn to these crystals. And forgive the pregnancy brain, I can't remember the name of them, but they are fertility crystals. So I was drawn to them, and I was already manifesting that I was going to get pregnant prior to this. And I was drawn to them. I bought them. I talked to the owner about it, and they're like, this is a fertility crystal, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, how crazy is that?
Right. Oh, that is really crazy. Yeah. No, that's something. I have a selenite lamp. So it's like this big, and it has a light in the middle, and it's beautiful. It's kind of like a salt lamp, but it's selenite instead. So it's nice. Cool. My, you know, I'm by no means like very materialistic at all. But that's one thing as I progress in my career, I want to just everywhere in my house, I want crystals.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely probably more materialistic than some. I mean, I know what the important things are, but my next house will be built with all that energy and all the properties kind of like already in there.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Well, I'm coming over one day. I'm inviting myself over.
It's going to be very zen in the house.
I love it. Yeah. Well, and you know, speaking of a house, like it's so important, and I think in our own home to feel at peace.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much chaos in the world. Like I've lived in houses where it's chaotic, and it's like, really, I just came out of the chaotic world. I need to come home and like be able to rest.
Right. And that's what I think is so sad for a lot of the people that, you know, their exit from their chaotic life at home was going to work or going to school, and that was their protection. So it's a shame that everything was shut down. But yeah, it's really important and crucial to create that environment. So we do work on that as well in the program, especially your sleeping environment, because sleep is so undervalued here in this country. It's really, really important to focus on and prioritize.
Yeah. So would you say that's one of the most important things when it comes to healing?
I would definitely say that, yes. I mean, obviously, nutrition is foundational for everything. A lot of us are eating what we think is healthy, and we're having cheats here and there. You know, I was an athlete, and I was having my cheat meals on Sunday, and it all adds up. So you definitely have to focus on that. But sleep is essential. I tell all my ladies, I'd rather you sleep than work out. And I'm a workout-aholic. I love it. It's so fun for me. It gets a lot of stress out for me, but you need to have that balance, and you need to recover your body. Otherwise, you're not going to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's definitely one of the first things I tell my clients as well too. Are you pooping and are you sleeping?
Yes, we talk a lot about poop too, but yeah,
Right.
are you sleeping?
Right. That's the not so pretty part of what we do. I mean, what we do seems almost kind of glamorous for some people, but then when you start to realize what it's about, it's like, really, we're getting crap out of people.
Yes.
Literally.
And this is crap that, you know, when it's stuck inside for so long. I mean, when I was at my worst, I was going number 2, I think once every 3 weeks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So that is just showing you that if you're not supporting your detox pathways, then you are in big trouble. Big, big trouble.
Wow. Wow.
That
So,
also, you know, plays a big role into mental health.
yeah, okay, so you mentioned something profound that I wanted to go back to. You mentioned how at some point you became spiritually awakened. So what does that look like for the audience that's like, I don't know, I want to
No,
know if I felt
I
like that
feel
ever.
like it kind of just naturally evolved. Like I said, I've always been very intuitive, and I've always been energetically inclined. So I have always been more spiritual as far as just not believing in organized religion and all of the negatives that come with that.
Mm,
But for me, you know, like with everything else, I think it was taught to me that it was either an all or nothing. And I
mm,
didn't realize that I could still believe and still be very Christian and spiritual and not go to church every single Sunday, and
mhm,
you know, not identify with the very strict Catholic that the rest of my family was. So
mhm,
it was something that just kind of evolved, and it was a course of events that happened to me that I think I had to just have faith, or I would have crumbled and
mm,
probably got sick again. So it really helped me get through. And then I kept seeing all of these, um, not coincidences, but all of these things were aligning for me. And these are things that I manifested, that I asked for, that I received. And it was
mhm.
just so amazing that thing after thing after thing kept aligning. And I'm like, there's got to be something else out there. There's this
Right.
strong, powerful energy from source that I'm not tapping into. And once you do, it's like your whole world is
Yeah.
different.
Well, it seemed like what the key thing is, like, you really you stepped into your destiny. You stepped into the path that you're supposed to be walking on.
Right.
And I personally, as I've been doing that myself too, it just seems like everything just starts to align.
Yeah.
And you might want to do something, right? You might want something in your life. It really is like God's desire for you to have that, and it might seem so distant, but when you just kind of like keep walking in faith and keep taking one step after the next and keep trusting God, it's like incredible how you might think that it's like years down the road, but really it's like right around the corner.
Exactly.
What about your pregnancy? Was that something like that too?
That was really just, it was complete alignment. I had always told everybody that I knew that I would never have children because I was so sick, and I refused to bring a new life into an environment that was so ill.
Mm,
So I had already decided, I'm like, I'm never going to have a child. It's not going to happen. But then all of a sudden I healed, and
mm,
things started to align, and I changed my mind, and I wanted to, before I did what I do now, I was in entertainment, and I hated what I did. I hated interacting with the people that I interacted with. It was very negative. It was just, a lot of pressure on outer appearance, and, really superficial, fake stuff that I'm so much deeper. And I knew that there was so much more for me, but I just didn't know what.
mhm,
So once all of that started to align, I said, I want a child, and I want to bring a beautiful life into the world. And as soon as I
mm,
decided that, and I started to manifest it, and I do a lot of brain training um, in my program as well. So basically what that is it teaches you to really envision what you want as it's already here.
yeah.
So, as soon as I started to do that, I was pregnant within 3 weeks. So I didn't even really have to try. It was just there, boom.
Yeah.
So it was just pretty magical how everything kind of aligned and worked out.
Yeah. So I worked with a life coach for about 9 months or so, and I mean, she was totally in tuned in a whole different way too. And that was exactly what we're doing for 9 months, pretty much. It was always going back to that vision and then bringing it like as if it was already happened. And, you know, and then back to like, you know, I do have a lot of people that are Christian too. And, you know, God does, it's in the Bible too. It's something that like we write our vision on tablets. That's what it talks about in the Old Testament. And so the whole idea of even prophecy is about capturing that vision. And we got to thank God before we even have the breakthrough.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's not like it's this, it could sound totally woo-woo again. You know, I'm here to come like break all that stuff off of people because I feel like people could have so much more breakthrough if they actually use these tools that really are God-given, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know very much of the Bible now, but I just, that's 100% dead on. Once I started to align and be really grateful for everything that was not even here yet, everything was happening. I mean, I had, even after I had healed myself, I had every kind of doctor, fertility doctors, my OBs, everybody saying, you're never going to get pregnant. And if you do, you're going to have a miscarriage. Very irresponsible medicine. But I think that, you know, that just kind of made my vision of what I wanted even stronger. And so it happened for me. And that's, like I said, a gift from God. Definitely, it's been a blessing. So I'm very excited.
Oh, how exciting. So you're having a boy or a girl?
I'm having a girl.
Oh, you have a
Yes,
name picked out already?
I do. Her name is Aurora.
Oh, that's a cute name. I think that's the
Thank you.
name my friend just had a baby within the
Oh,
hospital.
really?
She named her Aurora
Aw.
too.
Yeah, I picked it because it just, one of those things, I meditated on it and it came to me in the meditation and I'm like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, you just knew in your spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there must be some profound thing. Have you looked up what it means?
Well, it's a goddess princess. So, I mean, I think that for me, connecting to Divine Mother during this whole process of healing has been really powerful for me, and stepping into my own power as a woman. So I think that that kind of all goes into play with that and how the
Yeah.
name came to me.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you carry that I know we've only met like maybe once before, but your presence online, I just feel like you're this strong woman. Every time I see you pop up, I'm like,
Thank
she's like,
you.
there's something about that girl.
Such a nice compliment. I appreciate that.
No, yeah, and I'm very serious. Like I'm sure a lot of people are just drawn to you because you carry that like authority about you. You have that presence about you where it's just like you just can't help but want to know more, you know
Yeah,
what's going on in your mind and how you can help people.
right. Definitely.
So, okay, so with all that being said, I'm sure that the answer to the question, can you heal from chronic illness and autoimmune challenges, is probably a yes, right?
Hell yes. It's a hell yes. After years and I mean decades of people telling me that it was impossible, that there's no such thing as remission, that you cannot heal yourself, your mind is so powerful that if you believe it and you put it out there, you will receive it. You just have to do the work. I'm not saying that it's easy, because
Yeah,
it was very difficult. And all the ladies that I know that are in the program, it's difficult. I don't sugarcoat that at all. But
yeah,
it is so possible. If you want it bad enough, you will achieve it.
yeah, yeah. So how long is your program?
So I start with a 3-month lifestyle reset, and that kind of just goes over all the basics. And we really look into everything from foundational nutrition to their movement to their sleep. We do in-depth testing, and that's where the poop comes into play. We want to look at all the little microbes and see what's going on. If there's different parasitic infections or what have you, we go in depth with hormones. And a lot of women, unfortunately, this is just this is a pandemic in this country. The underutilization of proper thyroid testing. Nobody does it, and either they're not educated or they just are limited by insurance or their hospitals that they work at. But the women that come to me either have not been diagnosed yet, but every single patient that I've ever worked with is either hypo or hyperthyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And that contributes to a lot of symptoms, including mental disturbances. So we really have to take an in-depth look at all of that. So we just really look at everything as a whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
We, introduce complementary therapies, meditation, all of that. And then when somebody needs additional, we do have masterclass training as well.
Okay. Okay. So that would be after the 90 days.
Right. Because, doing all of the things can get really overwhelming.
Hmm.
And it's difficult to say, okay, I'm ready to heal. And then to take that next step of actually doing it and saying,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going to change my life and this is going to affect me in what ways. I may have to get rid of some friendships or
Hmm.
may have to change my career. You never know. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's really tough. For me, that's one of the things that I had to do. I had to drop it, even though I was really successful and I made a shit ton of money. It wasn't worth it for me emotionally.
Yeah.
And when you get aligned and
Right.
you are on your path, you're abundant anyways in all the
Oh,
ways.
agree. I had to do the same thing too. I used to work in the Las Vegas nightlife and, made a lot of money at 24 years old. And I was like, just so unfulfilled.
Right, exactly.
My heart was just hurting. I'm like,
Yes,
oh, there's something else out there. I have to do
yes,
this. And,
exactly.
I knew there was something with nutrition and health and wellness. And I had a past in personal training and I was like, it's not quite that, but I didn't really know. So I
Right.
literally got rid of everything, put whatever I had in a storage and left some things at my friend's house. And I traveled around the world for a year trying to figure
That's
out what I was
awesome.
supposed to do.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I got myself in some debt and all that, but you know what? At the
Yeah,
end of the day, it was worth it to figure myself out. I mean, because
yeah,
when you can walk in that in alignment like you're talking about and walk in peace, knowing when you wake up every day that you're doing what you're called to do and
yeah,
you love it and you're changing the world. I mean,
yeah.
there's no better feeling than that.
Exactly. Even if it's one woman at a time, if I can just help that one person,
Hmm.
then I've achieved my goals. My mission is on point.
Oh, I love that. So when I was on that verge of getting rid of my job and all that, when I was in the nightlife, I was feeling led to write a book. And I remember when I got to my computer for the first time and I was going to start sharing my story, just writing it. And I literally had to have a glass of wine and I was like, okay, I need to just it was hard because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And you know what? It hit me as I was there, like sitting there, like with a glass of wine, trying to get my words on the computer. I was like, oh my God, if this changes one person's life, then I will have done God's work. I will have done
Exactly.
what I'm here to do, and it will be all worth it. And it's crazy when you step into that realm, I guess, whatever you want to call it, and with that idea, it's crazy how it's not usually just one person that you're led to help, but it
Yes.
just the door opens to the next door and then the next door and a
Yeah.
whole group over here and a whole group over here, and now you're just like in a
Right. I
place
mean,
you
I
had no
never
idea.
I never intended to do what I'm doing now. I wanted to heal myself, and that's the reason that I got into what I'm doing. I was literally just going to go to school. I'm, kind of a very type A personality and a very go-getter. So whatever I wanted to be into, like I was also in personal training, so I went deep and got my NSM certification and really just I wanted to really just learn everything that I could. So that's why I did that. And I had no intention of becoming a practitioner, none. But I was like, how can I not? This is
Mhm.
my calling. This is a gift. And everybody else around me was like, you're going to give up all that money for this hocus pocus that you don't even know is going to work. And I'm like, listen, if I can help one person, then I have done my job. And it has now spiraled into dozens and dozens and dozens of
Mhm.
women who their lives are changed forever.
Mhm.
And it's so fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it all the time and effort to put into that education and doing things like this and educating the public.
Right.
It's even doing this. I mean, I just feel like I don't even know who's listening or who's going to listen, but I know that someone's going to be touched and their life is going to be changed. And it's every time we put those little seeds into the world doing the work we're doing, I know that someone is touched and their life is changed and somehow. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget, honestly, though. I hear someone say, "Hey, I've been watching your podcast," or or I've been doing this now because of, your posts on microgreens or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh,
It's
really? I had no
really
idea.
amazing. Like you said, if you can touch that one life, that's all that we want to do.
Yeah. So I think this is probably a no-brainer at this point, but how successful are your patients when it comes to making these lifestyle changes when they do this program then?
When they do the program and they listen to me and they follow everything and they really utilize all the support tools that we have, I mean, 100%. They have amazing, amazing results.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're doing testing, are you doing most of it up front, or are you kind of trickling it through the program?
So I leave that up to them. It's a decision that they make because so the program is separate from the testing. They have to pay for that. I don't profit from any of the testing or any of the supplements or anything like that. I allow them to make that choice. But obviously, if they're going to choose to work with me and make that initial investment, then of course I want them to go further and get the answers that they haven't been able to get for all these years with their doctors. And a lot of the times we find stuff, like I said, the thyroid is major. We find parasites, we find severe dysbiosis, we find SIBO. So these are really things that I encourage them to do right up front so that it doesn't take as long. Because sometimes, doing these tests, it can take a while to get the results, 14, 21 days or so. So you want to just get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. I like to do I don't know, I'm kind of refining my program right now because I would do all this testing up front, and then there was some I would trickle in later on, depending, because sometimes it's just not really that necessary to have that information up front.
Right.
Like the chemicals. I mean, if I still need to work on a lot of weeding out in the gut, then I might not do that until later. But some people just like to know, which I'm just like, by all means.
True. And I was one of those people too. I'm like, give me all the tests. I want to know everything that's going on. But, in reality now I'm kind of honing it in so that people can save their money and really invest wisely. So the poo test is crucial. We need to get that done. The in-depth thyroid, and then I work with Precision Analytical, and we do an in-depth hormone analysis and adrenal test. So that kind of gives you a really good picture of what's happening with the person and where we need to focus our energies. Usually it's always the gut first. So
Okay, yeah, so stool, thyroid, and hormones.
yes.
Okay, so stool I can understand. Why do you choose the thyroid and the hormones next?
The thyroid, because it's running rampant in this country that they're not being tested properly. Usually doctors will run a TSH, and that is not a good indication of what's going on with your thyroid health. So generally, a lot of women are always doing for everyone else, and they take care of themselves last. So a lot of us have HPA axis dysfunction, and that's why I do both of those tests, the Dutch Plus test with Precision Analytical and the in-depth thyroid test. It really just kind of tells us. But when you deal with the gut health, you are really fixing everything from the inside out. So it kind of starts to regulate things. But depending on what's going on with the woman and her symptoms, we need to know what exactly her sex hormones are telling us as well. If we need to make immediate adjustments, or if we can wait, resolve some gut stuff first, and then move towards that.
Okay. So what do you find for root causes of thyroid and hormone imbalances?
Everything. It's a combination of so many things. It's, lifestyle of high stress, not sleeping, not taking care of yourself, a lot of food intolerances that people just aren't aware of, because when we eat something, we may not, immediately have a reaction. It may take time. You can have food reactions weeks, months later, and it could be from that first initial, eating of that food. So you just never know. But it's a lot. It's all of the different environmental toxins that we have, vaccine problems and injury. So there's so many things.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard, just like what you said, everything's connected. In the beginning, we were talking about that. So I was just kind of curious what your idea is. When I was in Las Vegas, I found I would do a lot of hair tests and see a lot of uranium in people. Do you do hair tests too?
I don't really do a lot of them. That's something that we would do later on if the person wanted it. I think that for me, I choose to do the heavy metal stuff later on.
Right.
Because when you're detoxing that, it's such, it's very abrupt on the system. So I want to make sure that everything else is supported first, and that their gut is healing, and if their liver is detoxing properly and things like that. But yeah, I mean, all of that is so important. But another main one is the trauma that we discussed before. So all of it goes together.
Yeah.
And we've all had trauma, whether or not like you and I experience the same thing, and it may not affect us the same. I may be very traumatized and it could just roll off your shoulders, but everybody has something that affects them in a different way. So we have to address all of those things.
Yeah. As I was going through my emotional healing too, that part of my journey, I mean, it was little things that would come up where I was like, okay, I forgive this person for saying that. I forgive this person for saying that. And I forgive myself for doing this and, and doing that as well and making this mistake and hurting that person's feelings. And, so there's several layers and even those little things can really affect us if we're not aware that we're holding this baggage. And a lot of times we're not.
Hugely.
Yeah. And then of course, you had mentioned the bugs, like if people have these parasites and they're, the gut is all dysbiosis, then they're not going to be able to deal with these issues, even the littlest thing, as well as when you don't. So it could seem like even more of a trauma than it might even really be if the person is.
Yeah. And there's a really fascinating video. I'm going to have to find it and post it on my page. They put these parasites into ants. And it was actually a parasite for a sheep. And so the ants would do this really funny thing where they would go onto the top of the blades of grass in the middle of the night when the sheep were grazing, and they wanted the sheep to eat them because that parasite knew that it needed to be in that host, the sheep, in order to actually fulfill its destiny. So that's how powerful these bugs are. So if you have a parasite going on, and I will say that I took 5 poo tests before they even found my parasites. And I had some because I wasn't going to the bathroom very much. So it was really impacted deep in there. And once they discovered them and we eradicated it, so much better. Smooth sailing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I work with this company, CellCore, and I mean, it's all about those parasites. Like the whole protocol is like we're peeling layers and layers of from big ones to small ones. And even in the brain and your nose, they have this nasal spray that's coming out soon where like people have been already talking about all the parasites coming out of their nose. I'm like, can't wait to try that, I guess.
I know, right? After the pregnancy. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, and put my husband on that too, actually.
Yeah. I love
it because out of him. What'd you say?
I love to do guinea pig testing.
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy to think that we have even these parasites in our head, in our sinus cavity, our brain.
Right. And how much control do they really have?
Yeah. So, the stuff I've seen in this work, it's unbelievable, speaking of what comes out in people's
I just think it's so fascinating. It's really, really interesting to me. And that's why I was like, I have to keep going. I have to keep diving deeper. And I'm sure you do the same thing, but I'm such a nerd where I just want to continuously learn as much as I possibly can. And, that's why I talk about poop all the time, because there's so much that we just haven't really discovered about the gut health, and we're learning new things every single day. So it's really cool to get in there.
Yeah, the gut microbiome is like, it's a whole new science, I think, that's emerging over time too, and how those gut bugs, the good ones and the bad ones interact with each other and how to support it. I don't know. My theory right now, which we'll see as time goes on, is I feel like most of the gut microbiome is all messed up because of all the chemicals and toxins are in the environment.
Yeah.
Obviously there's emotional traumas and that can't be undermined, but I think that people wouldn't be so erratic in their personality to begin with and affect other people and the spiraling effect if we weren't just sitting there dumping chemicals and
everywhere. And that's part of my background too, as my father was he was a resident when I was a child. So anytime I got sick, I had antibiotics or medication. We lived in Washington, D.C., where we lived right in the city where everything is so polluted and so many chemicals and so many environmental toxins from the foods, that just everything, everywhere. So it's really, really bombarding us. The vaccines that we get as young children that there's so many that are just really questionable, and all the adjuvants and fillers and stuff that are in. That's a whole separate conversation, but there's so much overload that our body gets.
Yeah. Did you find that your family had issues too?
My entire family has issues. Now, do they want to listen to me and resolve them and do what they're supposed to do? That's a different story, but yes, most of them have severe gut issues. A lot of the times people just don't realize that it starts in utero. So that's the reason I really didn't want to get pregnant, because your child's microbiome is created from yours and your partner's. So it's really important to really support that and have the healthiest gut possible. My mother had a very unhealthy way of eating and living. So, not that I'm blaming her in any way, but this just all kind of goes into it.
Yeah. Oh, totally. That's
Yeah.
why I haven't had children yet either. So I hope my mom's listening to this right now because she's dying to have some grandchildren. And I'm telling
Yeah.
her it's coming, hopefully, soon. But I'm trying to, figure things out with my gut microbiome and making sure
Yeah.
everything's balanced. And people probably look at us at this point and think, oh, you guys are fine, But I'm just like, no, I
Right.
want to be like a top notch when you're giving
Exactly.
life to a person, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's one of the things about chronic illness and autoimmunity is that, you can look seemingly perfectly fine from the outside and have all these things. I always refer to myself like a Lamborghini. I'm like, I look great from the outside, but the inside is always messed up and in the shop. So definitely has got to be some fine tuning in there. And once I was able to do that, I said, okay, it's safe now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and I hope people that are listening to this, if they're trying to get pregnant, one, just don't give up, like don't lose faith. Heal your body like Brianna did. And then also people that are preparing, the other side of it is really like actually prepare, do a thorough detox, cleanse your body, get things more balanced. Because what we're seeing in this world, and this is why we're doing a mental wellness series here, is really startling. All the autism, the Alzheimer's, just mental challenges in general, whether people are diagnosed or not, we're all dealing with something. I mean, I was all thrown off when I was a child, and I remember
Right.
certain family member like, oh, she's such a, whatever, like, they had their mean things to say about me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? First of all, I didn't have a dad growing up. So not to blame that, but at the same time, I was not eating healthy. Okay. Who knows what I was eating,
McDonald's was like one of our staples we had all the time as kids. What are our parents going to do? We're like, Mom, we want McDonald's. What are they going to do? Say no? They want us to shut up. So they're like, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And then God knows what's in that. I remember eating McDonald's as a child too.
Poison.
And I'm like, oh, like now I look back and I'm like, that's
poison. Yeah, but to all those ladies that are trying to get pregnant, I did just develop my pregnancy prep protocol. So I have that also that I'm adding into the mix for women, because I talk to so many women, even, very young women that are really struggling to get pregnant and stay pregnant. And it all goes back into really preparing your body. So
yeah, totally.
Once you prepare and support that, then you're going to have smooth sailing.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, since we're probably going to do another show like this, and I'm going to do another series coming up, just for those of you guys that are listening to this one, you'll get to know. I'm going to do another one on women's health, because I just kept coming across people like Brianna, who and you go by Brianna Marie, huh?
Yeah.
Both those, yeah, it's beautiful. So yeah, I kept coming across people like her and that were in this field, and we had this common theme of like, you need to heal yourself before you get pregnant. And I even have a guy I ran into who he's in Kansas City, and he's like, we see a lot of people here that are post-pregnancy or pre-pregnancy, and it's like, we're trying to clean them up before they get pregnant. Yes. So it's a huge thing for me, even though I've never had kids, but I'm in that journey myself where I'm just like, I get it. Like I'm there, and I don't even want to get pregnant until I look at my tests again and I'm like, okay, that chemical went down, and and my husband's doing pretty good too, and we're both good. Okay. So, and I don't think it needs to take forever, but you just got to chip away at it.
And on the flip side of that, are we ever going to be 100% perfect? No. Right. Progress over perfection is what I always preach to everyone, because in a perfect world we'd have no toxins, but that's really unrealistic. Never going to happen. We're bombarded with chemicals all the time. So the whole entire program is really about reducing that overall toxic load as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So whether that is emotional or with food or physio, just everything, your home, your environment, like we said before, making it very, serene and calm and as clean as possible, getting rid of all those antibacterial stuff, because I was an OCD clean freak. I still am an OCD clean freak, but just not with all of the really just stripping, bacterial things that we just don't need. Everything has a microbiome. We need it. We need to build our immune system and not wipe it away. So
right, totally.
There's so many things that we can do.
Yeah. So where can the listeners find you if they would like to work with you and possibly do your programs?
Yeah, so they can check out my website. I have an enrollment going on right now, and that is actually going to be closing at the end of the month because I only take a specific amount of people at once just so that I'm not overwhelmed, so that I can give everyone their undivided attention that they need. Because for me, I know that in my healing journey, I needed somebody to be there for me. And that's what I am for my people too. I want them to have access to me and know that what they're going through is normal. And so they can find me at holisticallyfitbabes.com/waitlist. You can see the testimonials at holisticallyfitbabes.com/success. And you can always find me on Facebook and Instagram at Holistically Fit Babe.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys check her out. If you feel drawn to her and her work, then, you just have to find the right practitioner for you. And
Right.
like, if you feel drawn to her, then by all means, like, jump on her program, and that's the person that you're going to have the most success with when you do feel like we talked about energy so much, energetically connected with the person.
Definitely.
So anyways, thank you again, Brianna Marie, for joining us today. And
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you, listeners, for joining the show, and we will continue and join again next week. Have a nice day.
Bye.
My Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide is now available on thewellnesstrinity.com. You'll learn how to grow broccoli microgreens, the ingredients I put in my green juice, and super nutritious supplements you can add to enhance your immune system. Again, go to thewellnesstrinity.com and you'll receive your free Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Trinity podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more wellness tips to help you achieve optimal health. Don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.